This is Greg Pasternak from River Science Life, and we're on the hunt for where rivers begin. Well, actually, I have to admit it, I'm not really feeling too much for hunting today. I'm just sort of here, taking a break, trying to get in some fishing, enjoying the nice scenery around me, some beautiful trees, river, a little bit of rising sun, some forest in the background. It's just nice and quiet. It's just nice to be out in the environment, hanging out, enjoying the day. Yeah, I know it's supposed to be doing some science, and as scientists we tend to work day, night, weekends. Oh, looks like I almost got a hit on a fish there. I missed him. Anyway, so we tend to work a lot, so out looking for where rivers begin, and just thought I kind of needed a break. And here comes another fish. Let's see. I missed him again. I'm not doing too good at my fishing today. But yeah, I just thought I'd take a break. And of course, as you can see, I'm not really taking a break in the real world doing real fishing. I'm here in Minecraft in a world and doing some fishing here. But while I'm here, I thought I could talk to you about a couple of issues about where rivers begin and take advantage of what we can do in this virtual landscape that we can't always do so easily in the real world. Oh, there we go. I caught a fish. That's always feeling good. So what we're going to do is we're going to fly around this landscape and take advantage of my superhuman powers here, and we're going to go look at some things in the environment in this landscape. Now, the first thing I want you to know about this virtual landscape is the landscape is composed of something we call voxels. It's starting to rain on us. Of course, we're up here in the mountains, so we're going to get some heavy rain from time to time, but that's the way it goes. Anyway, the landscape is composed of voxels, and what that is like these individual little cubes that you see here. Many of you may be familiar with a pixel, which would be like if you're looking straight down and you just see the two-dimensional square from one of these little cubes. That would be a pixel. But when you look at it from the side and it has a volume pixel is a voxel. Man, it's really stormy today. Wow, we're really getting a lot of rain. Well, that might be good. Maybe we should take advantage of the rain and go see where do rivers begin here in the rain in a voxel world. So let's go see. We're going to move up the landscape and find out where the rivers begin. And what I'm going to do, just to save some time, is I'm just going to fast forward here into the landscape, and I'll catch up with you on the other side. Okay, so I've moved us up into the landscape, higher up into the mountains, as you can see here. It's still raining, but we're going to take advantage of that. We're trying to understand, what does it mean to say, where does a river begin? There's two different ways of deciding what constitutes beginning, and it's not so much a question of right and wrong, it's a question of what your perspective is. And I can tell you what the perspective of a river scientist would be. So one of the ways you could define where a river begins would be, where does the water begin? Where do you see water starting out on a landscape? And so here we are, it's raining. That rain is shedding water all over the land. The raindrops are accumulating, and then they're running over the surface. And here's just a place where we can see that, we don't want to see that, where we can see water is just coming off of the hillside. And so we could say, well, does a river begin where water is on the hillside? That's one possibility. Now, in this case, the water's not going that far. It's just coming down and it's being absorbed into the land and infiltrating, and the chicken isn't really experiencing it, so it's going away. So in that sense, yes, there's water on the landscape, but when we say a river is not just the presence of water on the surface. A river implies a geometric shape of the land. And in that geometric shape, the water has worked enough to carve out that landscape, and then that is what makes it a river. But does it matter whether there's water in the river or not? That's what we're going to take a look at next. Okay, well, finally the rain is gone. It's a nice clear day, and we're here in the mountains looking at this beautiful landscape. And, you can see there's some bedrock in the mountains. There's a part of the landscape here that the land is converging on, that's producing soil. And if we come down in this landscape, even though it's a clear day, we eventually come to a location like this. This is what we would call a channel head. You go from a landscape in which there's a flat surface that's well vegetated to a part of the landscape where we have the geometric shape of a channel, this U shape, and this U shape we can use to say that a channel has begun here at the channel head, and you could follow it down. Now, I've made it a much easier scenario by putting the channel in a very clear differentiated clay material. It's not always going to be this clear, but what you see here is there's no water, and this is very typical for here in California, where you have a landscape that is dry because we're in a dry summer subtropical climate, and there's no water, but we have the geometric shape of the channel. So this would be the opposite scenario of the other case. Like in the other case, we had water with no channel. Here we have a channel with no water. So where does the river begin? Does it begin where you have one or the other, or do you have to have both? That's sort of an open question. We can certainly say where does water begin, and we can certainly say where does the channel begin. Then we have to think about where does the river begin. So coming here into the virtual world, it's just a nice way to take a look and just think about this question. Could I go in the real world and film at locations that would show both of these phenomena? Yes, I could, and in fact, we will be getting to that. But I first thought it would be convenient to take a look at it in this simpler setting and think about it. And I also brought you here because I want to raise a point. A lot of times when people see a video game and we're talking about science, there's just a lot of sort of mockery about that. But when you think about it, one of the main inventions of science in the 20th century was the idea of modeling. That is, that we could reproduce aspects of the landscape or how the environment works by making simulations. And this is a simulation. It's a fully immersive, three-dimensional simulation, actually with many other features beyond just the three-dimensional geometric space. So in that sense, if you don't think of it as a video game, but you think of it as a simulation, then we can get a lot out of it, because the purpose of a simulation isn't just to see if we can predict and make something real, because obviously this doesn't look enough real to convince anyone that they're in reality, but it offers us the ability to see and learn from what can we do to match reality and what can't we do. Where do these things go wrong? And so what I want to do as part of River Science Life is bring you in from time to time, because after all, what would a YouTube channel be that doesn't have Let's Play videos? We've got to have some Let's Play videos if we're on YouTube. And so we can use this tool to help us understand things about river science through an awareness of what's wrong in these landscapes as well as what's right. So that's what we're going to do. This is just a short video for this week, showing you where channels begin, where water might occur in a landscape without a channel as what we call sheet wash. Next time we're going to return to the real world and look at this. And I'm quickly losing my light, and I don't want this to turn into a Blair Witch Project video, so I better sign off. This is Greg Pasternak from River Science Life. I'll see you next time. We'll be out in the real landscape, and we'll see, finally, where do rivers begin.